Hello out there. We're on the air. I gotta hide this comment for a sec. We got our co-host here this morning. He just stopped by, looking to get paid, asking for his paycheck. There he is. Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. And look at these comments in here. This is the Monday morning show. This is the Daily Bitcoin Journey, and this show focuses on actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. It's a big day today. First day is, I guess, second day is December. Wow. It's Monday. It's Monday. We got to shake off a little bit of rust here. So let's start very slow. Let's take it very slow to start. We got a short show today because I got to do an interview in 43 minutes. Oh, I guess Arnie doesn't want his paycheck today. 43 minutes. So it should be about 40 minutes today, if I know me. We're going to start with this one, though. We got a couple of questions I'm seeing in the chat here to start the show, which is always good. But I wanted to start with this one. So this one's from my YouTube 316. This is second question. It's a bold play for what's going on with this thing. I'll just leave it there for a while. That's a bold start to a Monday morning on a live show. 2 questions. Anyways, let's get to this one. It says, if I'm barely managing monthly family expenses, how can I start investing in crypto at current prices? Are there any practical methods to get started, or how do I resist the how do I resist the temptation to sell? Okay, well, I mean, that's a tough question for anybody to answer, I think. And first thing I'd say is you don't want to invest in crypto. You want to invest in Bitcoin. And I think that most people who are in that situation look at Bitcoin being at 94,000 or whatever it is today, and they say, well, it's 94,000 bucks. That's for the rich people. I'm going to sit this one out. But little do they know, they can get 1,000 units of a Bitcoin, 1,000 sats, which is what most people will know about by the time it goes mainstream. We won't be talking about Bitcoin. We won't be talking about the price of Bitcoin. We'll be talking about the price of sats. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of people in this exact situation, barely managing monthly family expenses. So what I would do in this specific situation is just take a really hard look at what you're spending your money on. And if you can find a way to cut like $10 out of that monthly budget, wherever that comes from, I don't know. Being in Bitcoin and making a dent in Bitcoin requires quite a bit of sacrifice. So it's different with a family. Obviously, you're not going to cut on food costs, but you could look into cutting things like memberships, like Netflix memberships, things that aren't really helping your life or making you more productive. That's what I would start with. So you got $10 there. That could get you 10,000 Satoshis, 10,000 sats per month, and just keep doing it. Do it for 4 years and see how far that gets you. But in this case, I'm assuming you have some sort of savings, or most people do anyways. So take whatever you can from that. Just, if that's $200, $500, Jesus Christ. Guy's fucking rowdy out there. I don't know what that was. It's 2 days in a row. He's dumped something over out there. Oh, well. Arnie. Oh, he won't come now. He's scared. So that's what I would say. Take whatever you got, $100, $200, $1,000, buy Bitcoin today, and then cut something out of your budget, and then just buy like $10, $15, $20 a month. It won't seem like a lot. and you're going to watch it over the next couple of years. It's going to go up, in value. Your sats are going to go up. I think somebody in this situation, the only thing that you should be focused on year to year is on December 31st, you had more Bitcoin than you did January 1st. That's it. That's what everybody should be striving to do. I think that's, at the end of the day, that's what everybody needs to focus on, is just having more Bitcoin, regardless of what happened throughout the year. If you have more Bitcoin at the end of the year than you had at the start of the year, then that's a successful 365. Ginger's in the chat. Good morning, Ginger. The first question here was, how can we navigate the world of crypto advice when so much of it comes from people bragging about early investments while many of us just trying to make ends meet? Well, I mean, that's kind of up to you. You have to, all of us started from the exact same spot. All of us started in crypto, Bitcoin. A lot of us got burned pretty bad, and that's why we're in Bitcoin now and only Bitcoin. But you just kind of have to find one or two people that you trust, and it takes a little while. It's proof of work. The whole Bitcoin ecosystem is built around proof of work. So you find a couple of people you trust, then you find out who they talk to, who they associate with, and then you start listening to them. And then you branch out. Maybe you got 5 or 6 shows, podcasts you listen to, and then just start with that. You don't need to be chasing things. You don't need to be, focused on the most subscribers. Just find people that you trust. And it's hard. It really is, but it's proof of work. So, Jay, good morning. Good to see you. Happy Monday. Alien Johnson says, alt season is here, bros. Is it? Is it? We won't spend too much time on that, but I do see Letha's over in the Zap stream, and I see Plunder's over in Zap stream as well. So good morning to everybody on Zap stream. I think everything's set up on there properly. The title should be there. I got a new goal for today, 6K for 6K. Noticed this yesterday, but the channel happened to hit 6,000 subscribers last night. So we're on a bit of a roll here. So that is the goal for today. We want to raise 6,000 sats for 6,000 subscribers. Detox, good morning. Great morning. Ian, happy Monday, everyone. Buy the truth, never sell. Let's go. 100K this week. Well, it would make sense. But at the same time, nothing ever really makes sense. So who knows? Maybe 100K next year, but it's coming. That's what we do know. And the longer it stays down, the more we can get for our fake money. Duncan, good morning. Dale, good morning to you. Hopefully, it looks like you made it home safe yesterday. That's good news. Dale and I were both on the road yesterday. Roads were not great. Not bad. I've definitely driven on worse, but they were not great. Jason, good morning. Django, one of our Bitcoin Journeymen. Good morning. Liked. Okay, well, let's double check here. I don't see Rick in the chat yet, but I'm quite a bit ways behind. We'll see how we're making out in the like department today. We got 63 people in here, 25 likes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Daniel says, I can see the Zap goal, but I can't see my Zap. Did you change computers or browsers? I think your npub for your account is here. Yeah, something definitely happened because it stopped working. Remember, I couldn't stream to Zapstream. It wouldn't connect to my StreamYard. So I just deleted that account and I started a new one. So that's when things really went south for me here. I don't know what to do. That's I don't. Tough. Kind of shitty. I mean, are we good? Are we good? Are we good? It wouldn't be a live show without cutting out. So just kind of getting used to it at this point, which is sad. Remember Okay, so we got a couple zaps this morning. We got 1,000 sat zap. I'm guessing that's from Daniel. And we got 95 sat zap. So thank you for that. I can see them. Daniel said, did you write down the words for your original nostr NSEC? I don't know. I don't know. Well, I don't know. It's Monday. It's too much happening here. Too much for me. Okay, what do we got here? HTUSA. This Bitcoin derives its value from the trust and demand people place in it. Kind of. If 80% of the world's population lacks access to online currencies, how can it remain globally relevant? Well, I mean, Bitcoin doesn't really derive its value from trust and demand. I guess somewhat, but not 100% of it. And I don't think that 80% of the world's population lacks access to online currencies. Do they? Maybe. I mean, you're giving me facts I can't verify here, so I don't really know what to do with that. And I mean, if you're worried about this kind of stuff, your focus is in the wrong spot. Yeah, the focus needs to be just on getting as much of it as you can, because it's pretty clear where we're going at this point now. So I don't think we need to be worrying about this at this moment. This is something for a little bit down the road. Additionally, isn't this value already being manipulated by large whales moving funds between wallets? Maybe. Again, not up to me, not up to you, but the things that I can control are add as much value as I can and convert that value into Bitcoin. That's it. Pretty simple. Brennan, good morning. Smash bot this morning, and that a boy. Buck 52,000. Greetings, humans. Lori's in the chat. Good morning, Lori. Good to see you. Lori's been a little bit more active in our Living the Future chat, I've noticed, which is good. Daniel says, if you're using LB to log in, you have to enter that master password into the Get LB extension where you change browsers. Huh. I'm guessing that has something to do with it. I might just have to start from scratch, I guess. I don't know. This is a brand new Zap stream, I thought. But I also don't know. So, I mean, the good thing about the show is that I am very untechnical, so a lot of people can somewhat understand what I'm saying. But the bad thing is I'm untechnical and I don't know how to fix this kind of stuff. So we got that going for us. Timber Crasher, good morning. Chat was buzzing this morning. I saw Timber Crasher was in there. Living the Future chat has been hot lately, which is good. Rob, good morning. Nowhere Man, Cowbit, good to see you, my friends. Nowhere Man says, hi there. Did you find any way to get an approximate yet accurate calculation for measuring the purchasing power of Bitcoin and sats in the future for most common assets, property, land? I'm working on it. I don't know how accurate it's going to be, but I mean, it's tough. It's tough because we looked at houses. We looked at the amount of houses divided by the amount of sats, and we got 900,000 sats per house. But then you have to factor in all the other asset classes. It's pretty much just like whatever actually holds value, how many of those assets divided by total sats. But finding the amount of total assets that have actual value is the hard part. So I'm going to try to figure that out. I'm going to try to get a little bit more accurate, but I think it's going to be a tough one. But we're working on it. Josh, good morning. From Ontario. What happened here? Why is Jason laughing? Okay. Bodie's in the chat. Good morning. The turtle, Bodie. Don't worry, man. I'm a turtle too. Mate says, if I'm using something like Sparrow Wallet and I can set the fees I want to pay, why would I bother consolidating my UTXOs to lower fees? Can I just manage it by setting the fee rate myself? I mean, you can set the fee rate yourself, yes, but you can't control what the fees are. And I think that if you're somebody who's just getting into this world right now, like I reshared the video on Friday or Saturday maybe, of sending an actual Bitcoin transaction, setting the fee, broadcasting it, following it through the mempool, maybe having to adjust it using the RBF replaced by fee, which we had to do twice in that video. But if you're somebody who's just getting into that now, the fees are low. And the problem is with a whole lot of UTXOs and trying to consolidate them is that when you are going to send Bitcoin or consolidate UTXOs and the fees are really high, you can set the fee as low as you want, but it'll sit there for a very long time. And that's a problem. I've lived through that myself. And it's not a good feeling when you send a Bitcoin transaction when the fee's too low, it'll just sit in the mempool forever. So it's not in your wallet because you sent it, and it's not in the wallet that you sent it to because the fee hasn't been high enough. It hasn't been picked up in a block. That's not a situation you want to get into. There are ways to get out of that, but depending on which wallet you sent it from, it's tough. So that's the thing, is that yes, you can set the fee as low as you want, but that doesn't mean the transaction's ever going to get put into a block. That's the bad part. That's the thing you have to look out for. Buying the top forever. Yes, we are. Absolutely. When do you reckon Bitcoin will start to pump again after a week of dips? I have no idea. No idea. Rick, smash that like yet? Good question. So we got 75 people in here, 42 likes. We're doing better. We're doing better. Okay, let's get to the mempool here. We only got 28 minutes left, and there's some things I want to talk about today. So let's get to this quickly. We'll get to the metrics quickly, and we'll go from there. So we're currently sitting at block height 872,921. 10 sats per VByte, which I would say is pretty average, pretty low. But, you know, if I was sending it right now, I would set it to be a little bit lower than that, probably 5, 6. We are way ahead again, 30 blocks ahead. And it looks like the difficulty adjustment is going to be in 68 minutes from now. So that'll be at least the 4th or 5th upwards adjustment in the difficulty there, which is a very strong sign. And I saw that we hit an all-time high yesterday in hash rate. So believe it or not, that is not our most important thing to talk about today, all-time high hash rate. But here's the metrics. The price today, 94,972 USD. 1 year ago, you could have purchased one whole Bitcoin for 39,470. And 4 years ago, you could have purchased a Bitcoin for 19,197 US dollars. Moscow time today, $1 US will get you 1,044 sats. If you want to be Moscow rich in the US of A, you need 1 million sats, and that's going to cost you $957. And the price here in Canada today, 134,367. That never gets old. I don't know if it ever will. The Moose Jaw time, which is the Canadian equivalent of Moscow time, $1 Canadian gets you 743 sats. The DOAL, the deal of a lifetime. Anytime you can trade fake money for real money, you take it. And if you want to be Moose Jaw rich here in Canada, you need 1 million sats, and that's going to cost you 1,345 Canadian dollars. All right. I'm just going to give you guys, girls, a little bit of a warning today. I might not get through all the comments today. We got less than 26 minutes here. Another frog. Good morning. Selling the Wind says nice dip this morning. Did a dip? I guess that's a dip to 94,000 bucks. I think if you would have asked most Bitcoiners a month ago if they'd be happy with 94,000 bucks right now, they probably would have said yes. No, we're back at 96 already. That dip didn't last very long. Christopher says thumbs up. Good morning. All right, we got size. I don't know about that one. Sifi? Hi, Jor. Hi, Sifi. Azuka says 88 Sats Radio, one of my favorite Bitcoin channels. Your vibes are unmatched. Keep it up. Good job. Well, thank you. We had 6,000 subscribers on the weekend. Which is pretty cool because I remember when we hit 5,000 subscribers, it was Bridget's birthday, which was November 13th. So in just over 2 weeks, we hit another 1,000 subscribers, which is pretty good pace. I still really want to get to 10,000 before the end of the year, but I mean, it'll take a lot. It will take a lot. Ginger says, trying to log into Coinos thing, keeps saying failed. I mean, with Coinos, with any of these projects, it's all still very early. So, I mean, I was even trying to log into Geyser today to look at I was trying to bring up our Bitcoin Amigos page on there, and it kept saying page not found. So when you're this early into anything, there's going to be hiccups. That's Coinos, that's Geyser.fund, that's Zapstream, that's everything. But again, if everything works smooth, if everything was easy, if everything made sense to everyone, then the opportunity's gone, right? So it is shitty. What I would try, Ginger, would be either create a new account, which is obvious, unless if you have Bitcoin on there, that's not your ideal one, but try a different browser. Like if you're using Chrome, try Firefox or Brave. Try your mobile device or your desktop, depending on what you're using. There's just issues. Like, again, we're just very early here. So Maverick says, oh, a great name, Maverick. My friend, I've been following your journey, our journey as Bitcoiners, I guess. Yes, that's right. Our journey. Never been to Canada, but if I were to go, where should I start? Ooh. Depends what you're looking for. Depends what you're looking for. If you like the ocean, I mean, go to one of the coasts. I love the East Coast. That's my favorite part of Canada, the East Coast. If you like the mountains, you can go to like Canmore, Jasper, Banff. Vancouver Island is the Bitcoin capital of Canada, so that might be a good start. You can get some mountains there. You can get some ocean, but there's some weirdos in Vancouver. So if you want, like, I shouldn't say that. I'm definitely not speaking for the whole population of Vancouver, but a little bit more different vibe there for sure. A little more hippies in Vancouver. All right. What do we got going on here? What else? So I think it was a couple weeks ago now. We were talking about, we talked about MicroStrategy for about 7 days straight. And I was like, you know what? That's enough MicroStrategy. We've beat this thing to death. And I said, we're done. This is going to be the last thing I say about it. I went through like 10 different reasons why I think people should look into buying MicroStrategy. And I said, I'm not going to talk about it for a year. And with that, I think we had about 5 people comment saying goodbye or unfollowed or unsubscribed. So they're gone. But there was actually people who said, you know what, I've been learning a lot. I value this information. Please keep doing it. So we're going to. And actually, we went from not talking about it for a whole year to now having our own MicroStrategy Mondays. So this, is, and you know what? I think it is important. It's a very big thing within Bitcoin, whether you agree with it or not, whether you hold any or not, whether you fully understand what's happening or not. It is a very big part of the whole Bitcoin ecosystem at this point, and I think it will be forever. So it is kind of worth following the journey. I think it's worth talking about and explaining as best we can on the show. And so this is going to be the first edition of MicroStrategy Mondays. And some might be longer, some might be shorter. Today's kind of a shorter one. And it's based on something that happened, last week on the channel. So somebody asked me, because I always talk about, you know, the best strategy, and this is what I've been doing, is I've been buying MicroStrategy shares within a tax-free account. So you can buy shares here in Canada, especially, and I think that this is probably similar in the US, something similar to this. So we have our registered accounts, right? And people get really confused about the TFSA, the RRSP, you know, how they're different, but they're registered accounts, which means that they're registered with the broker. You provided all your information to them. You have tax purposes. Everything's, you know, attached there to you through a registered account. That's what a TFSA is. RRSP, RESP, all these different things. They're registered. So somebody asked me, the one strategy I've been suggesting to people is that put as much MicroStrategy into your tax-free account as possible. Because if this thing does what we expect it to do, could be some serious tax consequences on that. And if you don't have it in a tax-sheltered account, you're going to miss out on a lot of gains that you would have otherwise had. So somebody said, I've already maxed out my tax-free accounts. If I buy any MicroStrategy now, it's going to have to be through a normal account, a registered pension, and I'm going to have to pay capital gains on the disposal. When I go to sell this, if I've made some money on it, I'm going to have to pay tax on that. So my answer was, don't be afraid of tax. Like if you're paying a capital gain on something, that means that you made good on it. You won that trade, right? When you're selling it for more than you bought it for, you pay tax on that. But what I failed to mention in that, and it's kind of tough for me when the questions come up live on the stream, and I don't have a whole lot of time to prepare for it. But when I was thinking about it a little bit more, I thought, you know what? Even if you're going down that road, let's say that here in Canada you've maxed out your TFSA account, and you have to start putting some MicroStrategy, if that's what you want to do, into a tax, I guess not a tax sheltered account. I don't know what the wording for that would be. But even if you did that, I think that the strategy there, and I didn't think about this at the time, but I think the strategy there is, if you consider where we're moving here, Larry Fink's been talking about it, Saylor's been talking about it. It's pretty obvious at this point that everything's going to be tokenized, and you're going to be able to use that collateral, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's an Apple share, a MicroStrategy share, stablecoin in your checking account. You're going to be able to atomically swap all of those back and forth because everything's going to be tokenized, right? And so there's already platforms. I think Salt Lending is one of them in the US, where you can say, you put Bitcoin into the app and then you can take out a loan against it, which is what I recommend. It's like the rich dad, poor dad strategy, but with Bitcoin instead of real estate, which means that you buy it with an intention of never selling it. You're not going to sell it when the price goes up. You're just going to take on debt against it. You're going to take a loan against it. You're going to use it as collateral. And that's why I think that MicroStrategy is going to be the biggest company on earth, because as you've seen today, they bought another 15,000 Bitcoin. I think it was 15,000 for a total of 400,000 Bitcoin. So their goal there, what they're doing is they're buying capital, they're buying future collateral. And that's something I've been talking about on this show for a very long time. Before MicroStrategy really ramped up, I said that that's what Saylor's going to do, and that's what you can do in your own life with Bitcoin, is just think of Bitcoin as like future collateral, future leverage for your family, for yourself, for your business, for whatever it is, for your community. You're buying collateral now for very cheap prices that you're going to be able to access in the future for a lot more. So going back to the tax account there. So instead of, let's say, again, we're assuming that you've maxed out your tax sheltered account and you have to start buying MicroStrategy or a Bitcoin ETF in a non-tax sheltered account. So instead of having to pay a capital gain in 20 years from now when you sell those MicroStrategy shares, what you're going to be able to do is actually lend against them. And I didn't think about this last week, but if everything's tokenized and everything can be used as collateral that's tokenized, then you're actually going to be able to, instead of using your Bitcoin or your house or your farmland, you can take your MicroStrategy shares and take on loans against that. So just like Bitcoin, you can buy MicroStrategy today for an insanely low price compared to where things are moving here. And you can just use that as leverage forever without ever selling it and without ever having to pay tax on that. Right? So you have two strategies there today. You can buy MicroStrategy in a tax sheltered account, hold on to it, and sell it in the future, and you won't have to pay any tax on it. Or you can just put it into a regular account. And as this thing progresses, as everything becomes tokenized and collateralized, you're going to be able to use those shares and a fraction of the share. You won't have to put up a whole share of MicroStrategy, maybe half a share. But when everything's tokenized and everything's collateralized and fractionalized, then let's say that, just thinking through this, let's say that if you've looked at the projections of MicroStrategy shares in Bitcoin, based on what the price of Bitcoin is going to be in a couple of years from now, like let's say that your MicroStrategy, you bought it for $300 or $400 back in 2024, and that same share has increased to $10,000. And you need to buy new tires, and you don't want to sell your Bitcoin. You don't want to sell your MicroStrategy shares and pay tax on that. So you'll just be able to, within your app, you'll be able to take even half a share. Let's say you need $2,000. So the share is worth $10,000. You need $2,000. You don't want to sell that share because you're never going to get it back for the same price. So you're going to have to pay tax on it. So within the app, you just say, I need $2,000. You put up a 1/5 of your MicroStrategy share as collateral, and then you just get stable coins or whatever you need to pay for your tires without having to sell it, without having to incur a capital gain on that. So that's basically what I wanted to talk about today in terms of MicroStrategy Mondays, just to get people thinking about the opportunity here and not being worried about the future consequences, or as people think of them as consequences, but just understand where this whole thing's moving to. And we're going to get to a point where you're not going to have to pay tax on anything, because all you're doing right now is accumulating capital. And Saylor did a 3-minute presentation to the board of directors for Microsoft. And that's what his first slide was. Bitcoin is digital capital. So you're accumulating this digital capital now, and you're never going to have to sell that. And I really want people to start thinking like that, in terms of, I'm never going to sell my Bitcoin. I'm never going to sell my MicroStrategy shares. I'm just going to be able to take on loans against them. So the one thing to pay attention to, though, is that you're going to need to have money coming in, right? If you want to repay these loans without having to sell your Bitcoin or your MicroStrategy shares, you're going to have money coming in. You're going to have to be adding value to the world and receiving some back to make the payments on the loan. But what I'm going to talk, so that's MicroStrategy Mondays for today. Put a bow on it. But what I'm going to talk about tomorrow is what this looks like for MicroStrategy shares, for houses, for golf courses. I'm going to do a live podcast tomorrow for Project Potential. It'll be the first live one. But I'm going to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about why it makes so much more sense to collateralize it versus sell it. Okay, sorry, Zapstream. I've been missing you here. Although I've been missing everybody. Nico says, first time on Zapstream, can't see where I zap. Found it. There you go. Plunger says, yes, Jor, I'm a weirdo from Vancouver. All right. Nico says, maybe this isn't Zapstream. I'm on Amethyst Communities. No, you're in the right spot, Nico. That's the right spot. That's where I watch shows on Zapstream as well, from Amethyst. So you're in the right spot. Hold on here. So I guess I talked about a lot of things there, but I mean, it is worth noting for sure. Oh, we got a couple more zaps in there. Okay, well, we're halfway to our goal here. We got 1,000 sats. We got 95 sats. We got another 1,000 and another 1,000. So thank you to the zappers today. We're halfway to our goal of 6,000 sats today. But so MicroStrategy bought more Bitcoin today. That's why I kind of like MicroStrategy Mondays, because that's when Saylor has been buying Bitcoin, Monday mornings. So another 15,000 Bitcoin, bringing their total to 400,000 Bitcoin. 400,000. So when you think about all the things that I just discussed there in terms of future leverage, future capital, like, no, there's not going to be a company that's more valuable than MicroStrategy in the future. So what's the premium on that? I don't know. But they're going to be able to do so many different things with that Bitcoin in the future. So what else happened? I saw Mara is raising more debt, and you have to understand here that people who don't understand what's happening here in MicroStrategy. They're kind of mad about it. They're like, this doesn't make any sense. They can't just keep pumping money into. They can't just keep getting money and buying Bitcoin with it. That'll end eventually, right? And it probably will, but no time soon, because you have to understand that the reason why they're doing this between MicroStrategy and Marathon, the reason they're able to do this is because there's so much demand for it. If there wasn't any demand for it, this strategy wouldn't work. Nobody would be lining up to give Saylor and, was it Peter Thiel or Fred Thiel? Fred Thiel, I think, with Marathon. Nobody would be lining up to give them money. They would be figuring it out on their own. But because there is so much demand for this, they are able to continue doing this and continue getting more sats per share for their shareholders using very, very cheap debt. All right, so that was kind of it. I mean, a couple more things that happened over the weekend. Bitcoin passed Canada in terms of total market cap. So Bitcoin is now worth more, has a bigger market cap than the Canadian dollar, which makes sense to me. It should. But this was the weekend, I think, either late last week or on the weekend, Bitcoin passed Canada. And also, November saw the biggest green candle in Bitcoin's history. The monthly candle for Bitcoin in November was the biggest in history. I think it was $23,000. Pretty good spot to be. If you're watching this right now, you're in a pretty good spot. Okay, well, I got 3 minutes here. What should we do? Okay, let me see if there's anything we can discuss in 3 minutes. Oh, there we go. I don't know if this is one of the things we should be talking about, but it's pronounced sci-fi. Gotcha. What did I say? Sci-fi? Buck 52,000 says, I still want to be able to follow MicroStrategy's wallet. Yeah, I mean, I said this a couple of weeks ago and made a video on this, and people were like shitting on me. They're like, well, they're a public company. What else do you need to see? And I'm like, the whole point of Bitcoin is that you should be able to verify things yourself, and we can't right now. So even though the auditors have verified that MicroStrategy holds Bitcoin with Coinbase, I would like to see the actual wallets there. I don't think that that's too much to ask for, personally. Juan says, do you recommend to buy Bitcoin without KYC? I mean, I think you need a good combination of both. Hey, there you go, Ginger. Reset phone and it worked. Very non-technical advice on the daily Bitcoin journey. Just restart the phone or change browsers. Usually works. I think that you need a good combination of both KYC and non-KYC. I think people get really wrapped up in focusing on non-KYC. But again, if you're going to be using, you have to keep this in mind here. This is why I think you need 2 stacks, is because there's always going to be a community of Bitcoiners. And that's what you can use your non-KYC Bitcoin for. You can buy and sell things with Bitcoin. But if you subscribe to the theory that we're going to be using this as future collateral and future leverage, then when you go to the bank and try to take on a loan against your Bitcoin, they're going to ask where it came from, right? So it's going to have to be KYC'd anyways. And if it wasn't KYC'd when you went to the bank, it's going to be KYC'd after you got to the bank. So unless you plan on selling the majority of your stack down the road, selling it versus lending against it, and I mean, if you're never going to do either, then you're in a completely different spot than I am. So for most people, I think KYC, it's going to be, you're going to need it if you're going to be lending against it. Catalina says, my goal is at least 3 million sats based on what I can afford. I really hope this is enough to have a comfortable life or allow my kids comfortable in the future. So it's 3 million sats. Yeah, I mean, if you can get to 1 million sats and hold on to it, depending on what your time frame is, it's going to be plenty. So that's what I'd say. And again, it's good to have goals. Everybody should have goals. But when you get to 3 million sats, it's not like you're going to just stop buying Bitcoin. right? I think that that's something that we all need to really drill into our heads here, is that we're going to be exchanging fiat for Bitcoin forever, or for as long as we can. So what you should be more focused on is finding ways to add value, and then things will flow eventually. So it's, again, don't just say I'm going to get 3 million sats and then go back into the fiat world. That's kind of just where you start. And then you got the rest of your life to keep earning sats. Parker says, did I miss the toss in the well? Ooh, we got 4 minutes left. Should we do it? I don't know. Okay, we'll do it. We'll end the show with that, just because we hit 100 viewers here today too. Although Bitcoin well needs to top up my address here. My tosses, I'm running low. I think this is the last toss, actually. I'll have to get in touch with them. All right. Okay. So we're going to do this very quickly. I'm late as expected here. So get your Lightning wallets out, press the send button, and somebody's going to win some sats here. Thank you for the reminder. Ready, set, go. $500 sats for some lucky soul out there today. The fastest fingers will get the sats this morning. 500 of them. We had a really good, well, there's an ongoing really good discussion on UTXOs in the Living in the Future chat this morning. A really good, informative, thought-provoking conversation about UTXOs. So those were from Bitcoin Well. Make sure if you haven't yet, and I think that I know that a lot of you have already, but just in case you haven't, one thing we're going to be talking about over the next couple of weeks is like UTXOs, managing different wallets, the best way to buy Bitcoin, stuff like that. And I think that if you're using a platform like Bitcoin Well that allows for Lightning withdrawals, that's a much better way to do it. And again, sorry, I'm kind of running out of time here, things to talk about, but I do want to end with three things. Number one, get yourself set up on Bitcoin Well if you're in Canada or the US. There's features in there that we're going to be talking about that we're going to be utilizing in the next couple of weeks here. So just get an account now, buy a little bit of Bitcoin, play around with it. But that's the first one. The second one is check out our new Bitcoin channel, the Bitcoin Amigos. You should be able to type it into, I'll put it in the show notes today as well. I'll put our channel on there for the Bitcoin Amigos. We're going to be streaming from that channel every Friday now. So unless you're following that, you probably won't see it. And I forget what the other one was. Anyways, I'm out of time now. So if you learned anything, if you enjoyed MicroStrategy Mondays, if you want me to keep doing them, let me know. And you can also send some sats into our guy, Arnie, who happened to break something live on the show today. I don't know what that thing is yet, but we'll find out soon. So anyways, that's what the third thing was. Check out Project Potential. I shared the first episode on YouTube, and the first 3 episodes are now on Spotify and Fountain. So you can go check those out. So have yourselves an amazing Monday, and we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.